I'm Chef Brenda, and I'm also a dietitian. I've been working in health and nutrition for over 17 years. I'm excited to talk to you today about the benefits of Pacific Northwest canned pears and to demonstrate two recipes: a creamy pear smoothie and a delicious pear salsa. The Pacific Northwest canned pear service represents family farms that grow Bartlett pears in Washington and Oregon, as well as West Coast canneries. You can visit their website at www.eatcannedpears.com for recipes as well as free educational and promotion materials. Before we move on to the recipes, there are 3 things to remember about Pacific Northwest canned pears. The first thing to remember is that Pacific Northwest canned pears are American grown and packed. US grown canned pears are available commercially or USDA direct delivery brown box program. Just make sure that the label says product of the USA. The second thing to remember is how efficiently pears get from the orchard to the cannery. Bartlett pear orchards are tended by farmers who have been growing pears for generations. The pears are hand-picked and then delivered to the nearby canneries where they are carefully ripened, then peeled, cored, and cut before being poached in juice or sweetened syrup right in these cans. Nothing else is added except for pears and the poaching liquid. Whether the pears are going to the fresh market or the cannery, the farmer uses all of the fruit on the tree. There is very little waste, including the recyclable BPA-free can. The third thing to remember is that US grown canned pears are ripe and ready to use. This makes juicy canned pears a convenient way to add natural sweetness, texture, and flavor to so many recipes, or on their own as a full serving of fruit. Pears are my favorite fruit, and I'm excited to share 2 delicious recipes along with prep tips and serving ideas that will fit on almost any menu. All right, now we're ready to make our creamy pear smoothie. So what's so great about smoothies is that kids and adults love them. They're also very easy to prepare, which is great, especially with all the challenges we're being faced with right now. So they're easy to serve in cafeteria, school food service, the tree line, or if you're doing curbside or grab and go. Either way, they're very easy. And they're also very easy to prepare and then serve with other foods to make a reimbursable meal. So what's great about Pacific Northwest canned pears is that they're so healthy and easy to use in smoothies. A great thing about pear and yogurt smoothies is that they don't separate if you don't add liquid or ice. So I'm going to show you how that's going to work. But the other great thing is that they're very healthy. So extremely low in sodium, all those things that we're looking for in child nutrition programs. And so they're a great combination. This flavor profile is also delicious because we have the canned pears. We're using the sliced canned pears. We're using a non-fat vanilla yogurt, Greek yogurt, and then we're using some maple syrup and some cinnamon. So delicious, very delicious. So let's go ahead and get started with making our smoothie. So first we're going to put in 1 quart, 2 cups of our poached, which are canned Bartlett pears. What's great about these Bartlett pears is that they are an heirloom variety, so they're so delicious. So we're gonna go ahead and add those into the blender. We are making 12 servings in this 1 gallon blender. I like to do 12 servings so that it gives it enough room. These are 8-ounce servings. And then we're gonna add 1 quart, 2 cups. So 6 cups of pears, 6 cups of yogurt. We wanna make sure and get that in there. Then I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. Delicious. And 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now, another easy way, if you're making 100, 300 smoothies, you're probably not going to want to do it this way. You'll probably have a big immersion blender with a big bucket and a spigot on the end so that you can prepare a large number of smoothies. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this blended. Okay, so now our smoothie is blended. You can see none of the ingredients are sticking to the side. They are all blended well together, so the smoothie is ready to go. And I'm looking on here, and we have the right amount of ounces, 96 ounces, because I made 12, and they're going to be 8 ounces in each cup. And I've already pre-made some, so then I'll just go ahead and fill 12 cups, 8 ounces. You can either use 9-ounce cups or 10-ounce cups. I have 10-ounce cups here. It's just whatever you have, and it has the line there up on top, so you can see how many you need. So a couple things that I want to talk about is today with some of the challenges that we're having to serve curbside, which is great that we can offer so many options. One thing that I would suggest is maybe putting a lid on top and then freezing it, and that way there are no spills during transportation in the car. It's also a great way if you're transporting from school to school. Some schools have central kitchens, and so they're transporting. Or if you're serving on the line or grab and go, a really fun way to kind of spice this up is to put a little bagel on top. So this smoothie is a half cup of fruit equivalent, and then we have 1 ounce Meet Me alternate equivalent and a 1 ounce grain equivalent for the bagel. So this would be for offer versus serve. We would have a meal here. Of course, they would need to choose their meal. So that's a really fun option for you. So there are 3 tips that I want to go over about the smoothies. One is that sometimes we're not getting the yield that we want, and so we may think that the fruit is blending down more than what it really is. And so we want to make sure that we know how much fruit we're actually getting. So one thing that you can do is just blend the fruit and let it sit for about 30 minutes in the refrigerator and see if it shrinks down to a lower measure than what you're looking for. If it's not shrinking and you're still not coming up with a good yield, it might be your yogurt. So one of the things that I have found is that not all yogurt measures the same. So you may want to measure the yogurt rather than weigh the yogurt. You want to make sure you have enough weight, at least enough weight, but typically you have to add a little bit more to get the measure that you're looking for, because the yogurt doesn't quite give you quite enough. So you just have to add a little bit more. So that's why it's nice to have a standardized recipe like this one that you can get on www.eatcannedpears.com. So the other thing that I want to say that could be great for smoothies is making sure that you're not adding any liquid or any ice to the smoothies, because when they're sitting on our tray line, they can start to separate and then they don't look very good. These will hold up very well for a couple of hours. And if you're not going to serve them all right away, if you have leftovers, you can store them in the freezer, or you can also store them overnight if you're using the Greek yogurt, because they tend not to separate. But again, you do need to see how it works in your facility, so you may need to just test it one time just to make sure. That's what we need to do all the time with standardized recipes, is make sure, because what works for me may not work for you. So those are some tips that I'd like to share with you. So as you can see, these smoothies were very easy to prepare. It's nice because we use the canned pears, which I do recommend that if you're going to serve these right away, if you're not going to hold them in the refrigerator a couple of hours before service, then you're going to want to put your cans in the refrigerator overnight so that they're cold when you put them in the smoothie, when you blend them in the smoothie. So really easy, no preparation, no peeling, no slicing, no dicing. They're just ready to go. All we have to do is drain the canned pears, measure them out with the Greek or high protein yogurt. We're adding our seasonings, our spices, things that make it taste good, the maple syrup and the cinnamon, and it's so easy and delicious and extremely healthy. Again, no fat, low sodium, and perfect calories for putting into our menu plans. So now that we've experienced the smoothie, let's move on to the delicious salsa. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the pear salsa. What's so great about using these canned pears in this salsa is that they're very versatile and they're easy to use. They're ready to go. All you have to do is drain them. If you're going to make this salsa and you're going to serve it right away and not let it sit in the refrigerator for a while to cool, you'll want to put your canned items that are in this recipe, such as the pears and the tomatoes, in the refrigerator the night before, so that way they're already chilled and you don't need to worry about that. So that makes it very convenient when we're using products that are already prepped for us, already processed, so we don't need to spend our time doing that. So I want to show you how I have this set up here. All of my ingredients have been measured out and put in containers to prepare the salsa. This is called mise en place. That's a term that chefs use, and it means everything in its place. I don't have to leave my workstation. I have everything that I need right here, and I'm not running around grabbing all of my ingredients. So you can see my mise en place is already set up. I have everything I need, including the bowl that I'm going to make this recipe in. Now this pear salsa that I'm making will serve 12, but online at www.eatcannedpears.com, you can find the recipe for larger servings for commercial use. So first I'm going to add my diced canned pears that are in light syrup, and so easy. I just drained them, cooled them in the refrigerator overnight. Voila, here we go. And then next I'm going to add my tomatoes. So these are also a USDA brown box item, and they are very inexpensive and easy to use. We did drain them, and so that way we don't turn our salsa completely red. So we're gonna add the tomatoes here. Then we're gonna add, so each one of those was about 2 3/4 cups. And then we're going to add 2 ounces of white onion. I like the white onion in salsas, and especially in child nutrition, even in any commercial preparation area, you're going to want to cut them very small. I think it's very off-turning when you go somewhere to eat and the onions are cut up really large because they're not very good that way. So if you can dice them very small, they're a lot more desirable, especially for kids. And yes, kids do eat onions. I've been to many schools and done many demonstrations where kids ate onions. And then the next thing is I have a little bit under 1 ounce of cilantro. Yum. And then I have 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And I have 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. And about 1 ounce of diced jalapenos. Again, I'm even seeing elementary kids eating jalapenos. They're loving spicy foods. So now I have this beautiful salsa, so easy. It is good if you can let it sit in the refrigerator for a couple of hours so all of those flavors meld together and make a delicious salsa. And like I said, salsas have been trending for a long time. Kids really love them, adults love them, and they're a great way to get kids to try new foods maybe that they've never tried before, such as fish. So here I made fish tacos. The fish tacos have a little bit of shredded cabbage. I use red and green cabbage with a little cilantro. If your kids don't like a lot of cilantro, maybe you don't want to add cilantro to this, but a lot of schools that I've been to, the kids love cilantro. They also like a little lime slice if you want to serve that on the side. They love that addition of garnish. So this salsa one serving gives you an 1/8 cup of fruit and an 1/8 cup of vegetable, and it is 1/3 of a cup. So I use a number 12 scoop, and then you're going to want to just divide it in half here for the tacos, and see how beautiful that is. And kids love pears. So what a great way to get them to try something they may not like, such as fish. So to make it a reimbursable meal, I just added a little bit more fruit and some vegetable and a little milk, and voila, just beautiful perfection. The other meal that I made was some teriyaki shredded turkey. So this is shredded turkey that I just put marinated in teriyaki sauce overnight. Again, I added the shredded red and green cabbage with the cilantro, and then I'm gonna add 1 serving of our delicious salsa. If you let the salsa sit, you may also want to put it in perforated pans, because it may need to drain a little bit more if you're going to let it set. So I did put this on a recyclable tray, because with the way we're not sure how we're going to be serving students this year, we may need to have disposable trays. So you can see this works out very nicely, or you can just use a regular tray like I've used here. I know a lot of us are thinking about grab and go and curbside, and so I set up a couple options for you here to show you how I've seen it done. I actually saw this done similar to this at the Boys and Girls Club. So what they did was they took their grain, so this is the corn tortilla that I have in here, and they wrapped it in the sandwich paper, and then this is cold. You could also serve this grab and go, and then I just cooled my broccoli, and then I would just put my salsa here in this container on the side here, and then voila, you have this beautiful little grab and go sort of bento box that you would put the lid on and then send it off with the grain for your reimbursable meal. So great for curbside and for grab and go. Or you could even use it tray line if you'd like. And then the next thing I have are the fish tacos. So I actually cooled the fish sticks, and then I stuck my vegetables in here. And now again, I'm just gonna go ahead and add my pear salsa. So I add my pear salsa here. So here, this could be served grab and go or curbside. You could put it on here and actually place the lid on top and get it closed there. And then you could serve this grab and go or curbside ready to go. So easy. Or there's so many other ways. If you have souffle cups, you could serve the salsa that way. All kinds of different ways, but just look how beautiful that salsa turned out. Delicious, gourmet, and so easy with these versatile pears that are already prepared for us, and so healthy. These canned pears are also very delicious on pizzas, in sandwiches, and salads, all kinds of different items that you can find on the website, www.eatcannedpears.com. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I really appreciate everything that you're doing all day long. I know we're being faced with a lot of challenges right now, feeding our kids, but I'm seeing you all on social media doing awesome things and feeding our kids and families, and I thank you so much on behalf of Pacific Northwest Canned Pears. Have a great year.